It's only once they reach safety that anyone can reflect fully on the horror they've seen. This young woman told us her sister was crushed by rubble when their home was shelled.
So I removed the stone, and what I saw, blood was coming out, and the inside of her head was showing, and her hair was still there at the back. Blood. I couldn't see her nose, her eyes, her mouth.
And then the burden of her grief becomes too much.
We headed out into a landscape blasted by war, travelling from silence to silence. Coming against us, lines of refugees fleeing the violence. Abandoned farm animals wandered the roads as we passed through deserted villages. And then the sound of shelling from nearby.
Well, you can hear the Israelis now are shelling from the other side of the border, and they're just across the hillside from us here. It's very hard to guess exactly what they're aiming at, but all we know is we can hear the bangs, quite a few of them now, and the shelling is heading in this direction.
By phone, we heard from the Israeli military that Hezbollah had staged an attack. The shelling was their response. Eventually, we reached the village of Ramesh. People came surging up to tell us of what was happening to them.
Kill men, women, children, everything. From this village coming, look the fire there, from my village.
This old man gestured to us for food and water. There's nothing to eat or to drink, he told us. Here, the filthy pond they now depend on for water. And then, in a dark basement of the Church of St. George, we found people in a pitiful state. This old woman is paralysed from the waist down. They are paying the price for a war in which Israel has wreaked massive retribution for the violence started by Hezbollah. Here they showed us a bottle of the pond water they have to drink.
This is one of the terrible places that war creates. Now, you look around here at the conditions these people are living in, with the international community, in their view, doing absolutely nothing. And they ask themselves, and they ask the world the question, what have they done to anybody to deserve what's happening to them?
Then we prepared to head back towards Tyre, a long convoy of refugees and media. We had told the Israelis that morning we would be passing this way, but they made it clear they couldn't offer a guarantee of safety in what is a war zone.
They've just landed the shell right beside us.
As we raced away, another shell came in.
There's a UN base just here. Just here. Come to the UN base. Well, get out. Get in our cars. Come on now, quick.
My cameraman urged the wounded journalists and some refugees travelling with us to move.
Fergal, get this guy get some stuff on him now. Okay.
This is the panic of war.
Come on. No, leave it. Come on, we'll get shelled again. They will hit us. Come on. Come on. Come on, quick, get us in. Just get in. In the car.
Inside, we gave first aid to the injured.
I want him to talk to me. Nobody else.
Okay, it's all right, I'll sort that one. Yeah, I'll sort that one. Okay, so your thumb is...
How bad is it like wound? Is it pissing
No,
blood?
no, it's not. It's trickling. It's not an artery.
Okay.
Then we raced to the relative protection of a UN base.
Not too tight, not too tight.
There, more refugees joined as the shelling continued. They hoped they'd find a safe way out with us. Instead, we all joined up behind a UN convoy heading to Tyre. We don't know who fired the shells or if it was deliberate. And unlike the refugees, we'd gone by choice into what we knew was a battle zone. For them, it's a perilous road.
Leaving by whatever means they can. Israel is emptying southern Lebanon of its people. They're exhausted, frightened and desperate to escape their villages close to the front line. They'll crowd onto anything with wheels. But it's a perilous journey. Anyone who leaves has to run the gauntlet of Israeli artillery fire. Even a clearly marked media convoy with civilian cars and ambulances and travelling with permission of the Israeli army was shelled today. These injured children were among those collected en route. Humanitarian convoys are rare. The UN and Red Cross have already been targets here.
This region is under the fire, direct fire. You can see all the people are fearful and they can't live here.
Even if they can find one, buses or taxis charge as much as £150 to transport a family north to Tyre. It'll cost them 3 times as much to reach Beirut. Those able to flee tell us they've left many people behind, buried under the rubble of their houses. Frontier towns have been laid to ruin by nearly 3 weeks of shelling. They say cats and dogs have begun picking around the wreckage. No one can now think of the dead. They're too busy trying to stay alive. It's only once they reach safety that anyone can reflect fully on the horror they've seen. This young woman told us her sister was crushed by rubble when their home was shelled.
So I removed a stone, and what I saw, blood was coming out, and the inside of her head was showing, and her hair was still there at the back. Blood. I couldn't see her nose, her eyes, her mouth.
And then the burden of her grief becomes too much. Everyone who reaches Tyre tells a story of grief and deprivation. Rania and her 4 children hold American passports, but they're unable to leave. A US-sponsored ship has now failed to dock for 2 days because of shelling near the town. She told me what happened at her house on the border.
I put my kids inside the car, and then right the minute that we were going to go out, they started shooting at us. And this guy got his car. He was like very, very, very bad injured. His car blew up. So we got scared and we came back inside the house. We were trying to leave. Okay, they told us to leave. The minute we wanted to leave, when we started leaving, they started hitting us with the bombs.
They're killing innocent people. It's not our fault. We didn't do anything, but they don't listen to anyone. They're not giving us a chance to do anything. They're warning us. Yeah.
We went to see the mayor of Tyre to ask how he was managing the damage done to his people and their villages. We talked about the meeting between Tony Blair and George Bush, and he had this message for Mr. Blair.
I call on Tony Blair to truly see what's happening here and to activate his conscience and not to follow George Bush. Be a man and stand on your own 2 feet.
A shocking parade of the frail and very elderly emerging from the basements of Bint Jbeil. Many have spent nearly 3 weeks hiding underground as the centre of their town became the front line for fighting between Hezbollah units and Israel's tanks and warplanes. This was the first day the guns had fallen silent and the first opportunity for those trapped to escape.
We've been 20 days underground. We haven't seen the sun until now. I can barely see because the sun is so bright. 20 days, I haven't seen the sun.
They've been eating 1 piece of candy every day. That's all they had left.
And where are they going now? Where are you going now? They tell us they want to go to Beirut. Today's suspension of airstrikes provided the first chance for anyone to travel, for civilians to leave, or for us to creep closer to the Israeli border. In Qana, the site of yesterday's massacre of women and children that prompted today's ceasefire, we meet Ali Dalwesh. He's trying to get home to his village on the border, thinks his family is dead, but there's been little news of anyone's welfare from there.
Aineta, Bint Jbeil, Tyre. No one knows anything about anyone.
Is it safe to go where you're going?
I want to go back no matter what. Even if the world's on fire, I still want to go. I feel that I'm already dead. I've lost my whole family.
None of these journeys is straightforward. Ali has to ask for directions because so many of the roads are destroyed. Huge craters created by Israeli shells and bombs block the way. From Qana, we find our way south to the only petrol stop still open. Families are buying whatever fuel they can to get them out of town and safely northwards. There's a sense of exhaustion and panic.
We're escaping from Israel. We have to run. I wish God would make them run like we're running. We have children. We've been shelled for 20 days.
Did you want to leave before?
No, we didn't. But when they announced a ceasefire, we saw everyone leaving. So we decided to leave.
When they did this cessation of hostilities, they told everybody.
I understand. What is your name? Sorry?
Fatima.
Fatima.
Yeah, thank you, yeah.
Fatima. Thank you. Not everyone can speed away to safety. Incredibly, this family has walked from the border. They set out at dawn. We met them at midday. They lived on the last hill before Israel, but have lost everything.
As we walked, we had to be careful not to step on the bodies of our neighbours, still lying under the rubble.
The centre of Bint Jbeil is totally destroyed. There's nothing left in the town centre. We don't want militias in Lebanon. We want the government to take care of us. Are we Lebanese? I'm not Lebanese any longer. I want to throw my citizenship away. My government didn't come to my aid.
Later, Alyssa is told by a relative not to say such things in front of our camera, but she won't be cowed.
God damn the militias and God damn the armies. Our country should take care of us. Did your government care for you? Did your government look out for you? There is no government.
In the next village are more refugees from Bint Jbeil, but we're waved through with the tacit approval of Hezbollah to see that town for ourselves. There's not much left of its hospital, but there are no patients either. Those who make it here are quickly sent north to other clinics.
We used to get 20 injured persons at once, and we used to do surgery and take care of them. Some of them were discharged home, some of them were transferred. But, I mean, our policy was not to keep the patient very long because, I mean, we don't know what's going to come.
And finally, the eerie last miles into this destroyed place. On the outskirts, some buildings have been hit and flattened, but when you reach the town itself, it takes your breath away. As you walk through the souk, shop fronts are blown out, windows smashed, metal shutters torn like paper. One by one, people emerge from the wreckage to meet us, dusty, thirsty, hungry and frightened. This woman tells us she's hiding up the hill 5 minutes away, without food, and they've been drinking dirty water. She needs help. All her family want to leave, but one of them is too unwell to walk.
We've been here for 20 days. Our house is destroyed. What should we do? We can't carry her. Help us.
The horror of this scene is there's no one really to help these women. Aid agencies haven't dared to test the safety of the roads, so it's left to whoever has, mainly photographers and journalists, to provide what help they can. This is no kind of rescue, no real evacuation, more a haphazard effort by whoever's at hand. This is the main street of Bint Jbeil. We're only a few miles from the Israeli border here. I knew that this was the site of the heaviest fighting, but no one's seen it until today. And it's a fairly extraordinary sight indeed. This part of town at least appears to have been completely flattened. People are coming out very desperate circumstances. They're asking for food, for water, and for any way to escape this place. Now we can still hear Israeli drones circling overhead. There has been firing of artillery, but off in the distance to the north we're told that there's been no direct hits in this village today. However, people here very frightened, very worried about how they can escape. The detritus of war is all around. A bomb dropped by an Israeli plane which failed to explode, a belt clip from a Hezbollah fighter. Most shocking, though, is the sight of those caught in this war. Some appear barely alive, dazed, bruised by what they've witnessed.
This man needs help.
This old man still wears his pajamas. He's badly dehydrated and seems unaware of what's happening around him.
Take the shrub.
Don't give it too much.
Little bit. Jeroen, how far have you come?
Oh.
How far? 100 meters?
Tell him that he's still.
Is it? Can we ask him if there's anyone else down where
حاج بعد في حدا مطرح ما جابوك بعد في حدا هونيك مين اختك السيستر اختك بس اختك بعدها طيبة she's still alive.
Yeah, she's coming.
From what we witnessed in Bint Jbeil, it's clear there are people still trapped in the town, in their basements and in the wreckage of their houses. There's been no proper evacuation. Most are old and infirm. Those who are lucky enough to be found are loaded into an ambulance to be taken to Tibnin. This one's already full.
Ya Allah.
Yesterday in Qana it was the children. Today in Bint Jbeil, the elderly. This war may not be over yet, but the damage already done to innocent people's lives is beyond belief.